All right. Welcome to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I am your host, John, and we are going to do a recap for Sunday, June 8th. And man, it was a busy day in the world of sports. I just love this time of year. We're going to get into the point in July where there's not a lot going on. There's some golf stuff, there's Wimbledon, there's the US Open, but man, the pickings are scarce. Once the NBA and the NHL conclude their seasons, we're in the dog days of baseball. And though I love baseball, it's a tough slog. It is a tough slog. God bless Bluster Olney and all those guys who got to try and figure out stuff to report. Each and every day they do a great job, but good luck. All right, let us go to the association and talk about Game 2 of the NBA Finals. OKC Thunder bounce back after a Game 1 loss and win 123-107 over the Indiana Pacers. SGA was just amazing. That's why he's the MVP. He literally took the team on his shoulders after a devastating Game 1 loss in OKC. And 34 points, 11 to 12 from the free throw line. He was just everything they needed to be. And showed an amazing amount of leadership. I really thought Aaron Wiggins was really one of the bright spots for him, one of the unsung heroes. He had 18 points. They just imposed their will. And it didn't seem like I didn't really think Halliburton really had a bad game personally, but at some point when they're putting two of these monsters, especially Dort, on you, you gotta pass out of it, and they did. And unfortunately, Halliburton only had 17 points, zero free throws. He really wasn't driving, and honestly, if you drive continually, you're going to kick the ball over. You're going to have a lot of turnovers, and that's not going to put your team in a good position. There's game 5 against the Knicks. There's this game. I don't know. Sometimes you just got to lose. I think we're going to see what happens here in Indiana, right? OKC's coming in. They're hunting for heads. They all are. These are all alpha males. It'll be interesting to see what kind of pace goes on in these games. I really do think if they have to slow down, if it gets a half court game, Indiana really has an issue, especially if they don't get those open corner threes like they're used to. We'll see. Game 3 on Wednesday. And let me do the mea culpa. Last night on the podcast, I said Yannick Sinner was going to win the French Open. He was going to win the Grand Slam this year. Just a little off. A lot of times when you watch these sporting events, there is hype and there's overhype and then there's hyperbole. And as the match was going on, they were trying, TNT has lost the NBA. They're trying to figure out what their sports landscape will look like going forward. And they just signed a big deal, 10-year deal with the French Open. And honestly, of the majors, the French Open is literally the most boring. It is the most boring. It is clay. It is just what it is. And the first 2 sets went to Yannick Sinner. And then at the beginning of the third set, Alcaraz got some clay in his eye. And I'll be honest with you. I said, I'm watching something else. This is literally like the Globetrotters against the Washington Generals, right? This is a boy playing against a man. Alcaraz obviously is a super talented individual, has 4 Grand Slam victories attest to, but he just wasn't the guy today. Well, funny thing happened on the way to the Coliseum. Alcaraz just won the third set. He trailed 5-3 in the 4th set. I was watching. He was down 0-40, love 40 on his serve. He battled back. He won the game. He won that set. We went into the final set. He had a break. He couldn't hold the break. It was a riveting match. The play was sublime. It was superb. And the commentators were calling it a classic match. I wasn't buying it until about the 4 hours and 30-minute mark. And then I was like, yeah, there's something here. These guys are hitting the ball so effing hard. I remember back in the day, I'm really going to date myself, is Jennifer Capriati at the U.S. Open when she was the phenom was playing Monica Seles, and Monica was just a ruthless competitor. And I remember seeing them hit the ball back so bloody hard to each other. I was like, I don't even see this on the men's side. What I saw in this French Open was insane. The pace they were hitting these balls with, and when it goes to clay, it immediately slows down. It's not like when we get up to Wimbledon, man. I think I want to say like 80-85% of the points are three strokes or less, or three bracket on the ball. I mean, serve, volley, boom. Serve, return, volley, boom. It's over. And I was thinking to myself, well, Alcaraz is going to lose, and I'm going to bet on him at Wimbledon because he is going to be really coming. Well, they got to the tiebreaker, and he just dominated. And I'm going to be honest, I really do think Sinner is a cheater. I think he's a PED guy. Maybe he's clean. I don't know. I'm not buying the excuses. I think it's all a bunch of BS, but I was so happy for Alcaraz. And the first two sets, he looked lost, he looked defeated, and he found it in himself. He has an amazing 12-1 record in 5-set matches and Grand Slams. I mean, who does that? I mean, that's stuff that's like a video game. This was the first time. Now, try and listen to this. He is the first person to save match point and win a Grand Slam final since Novak Djokovic did it to Roger Federer in the 2019 Wimbledon final. Wow. That is some insane company to be in. Amazing Alcaraz. Sinner won the Australian. He had won 3 majors in a row. And Alcaraz, I mean, I wonder, and I wish they would have asked this question of John McEnroe. He came into the 84 French Open. He was going to win the Grand Slam. He had a 2-set lead to Yvonne Lendl in the final. He missed. He lost. I wonder how hard, he did win the U.S. Open later in Wimbledon. But I wonder how hard it is to come back from that loss. And I really wish they would have asked him that. But in the moment, I remember back in the day when Rafa lost a Wimbledon final to Federer, and you could see McEnroe, and this is what makes McEnroe really so special. He was crestfallen for Rafa. Rafa, you could see, was just broken. He literally gave everything he had plus some. And sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes the other gentleman is just better. You didn't lose it, he won it. And I think this is what happened with Alcaraz today. I think he was sublime. I thought he was superb. And hail the victor. Hail the Spaniard. God bless you. All right. So let's talk about what happened in Major League Baseball. Oh my God. There's so much stuff going on. The Tampa Bay Rays beat the Miami Marlins. God. I mean, why do they even have these games? I don't even know what you're doing with it. And hold on a second there. Hold on. Just be patient with me. Okay, there you go. And they won 3-2. Padres beat the Brewers 1-0. The last couple of days I've been seeing a lot of 1-0 games. Kind of surprising. In this era of baseball and offense and all that, it is kind of surprising. I think we had like 4 or 5 games just in the last couple of days. Pirates, Skeens, amazing. Hello. 1 run. They sweep the Phillies. God, who saw that coming? Who had that on the bingo card? Skeens is just amazing. The Rangers finally win a series. What a shock. They beat the Nationals 4-2. I guess it helps when you're playing Washington. The Reds beat the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are kind of cratering. They lost Corbin Burns. They are starting to get into free fall territory. They're 31-34. They lose 4-2. Tigers beat the Cubs. Flaherty gets the win, 4-0, and he's 5-4 with a 3.4 ERA. And actually, they got Mize and Skubal at the top of the rotation, but he is a really, really viable number 3 starter. The Guardians beat the Astros 4-2. Smith gets the win, 2-2 with a 2.4 ERA for the Guardians. Royals finally come back and beat the White Sox 7-5. Lorenzen gets the win, 4-4 with a 4.3 ERA. The Twins beat the Blue Jays 6-3. Ryan gets the win. He's 7-2 with a 2.5 ERA. You know, the Twins have some sneaky good guys. I still am really worried about what the Pablo Lopez injury is going to be. The Dodgers salvaged the final game of their series with the Cardinals 7-3. Kershaw gets the win, 1-0 with a 4.3 ERA. It was nice to see him get some innings. And they do lose the series. The Dodgers, I was texting with Brian the other day, their starting pitching staff. I've never seen anything like it. And I wonder if at some point you got load management issues going on there. I mean, there's something going on. Mets beat the Rockies because, hey, everybody does. If you don't, you got a problem. The Giants, literally, I'm not going to say this is the worst week ever for the Braves. I don't want to buy into all that hyperbole, but son of a bitch, man. They get a walk-off two-run homer by Chapman the other day. They lose a six-run lead with one out in the ninth to Arizona. They lose to the Giants. They get swept by them. Strider gets the loss. He is 0-5 with a 5.4 ERA. Good luck. We always think coming back from Tommy John surgery, he's going to be that number one guy. He's not even a number 5 guy. We got the Athletics beating the Orioles because, God forbid, the Orioles win 3 in a row. It's 5-1. The Mariners beat the Angels 3-2. And Kirby gets the win. Actually, what surprised me the most is Kirby is a really, really good starting pitching. I think the Mariners have the best starting staff in all baseball. He's 1-3 with a 6.5 ERA. And I was watching it. The guy was throwing lights out stuff. Obviously, he got the win today, but I was like, how did they lose? And finally, in the nightcap, we have the Red Sox taking the final game and the series from the Yankees 11-7. Dobbins gets the win for the Red Sox. He's 3-1 with a 4.2 ERA. Aaron Judge hits 2 home runs. Magnificent as always. And Rodon got the loss. It's funny when they were up 2-0, you're listening to the ESPN guys, and man, they want to make this Yankee team like the 27 Yankees, but not quite. The Yankees and Red Sox play another series later this week. It'll be interesting to see how much ground the Red Sox can make. It's not imperative, but man, it sure would help a lot if you can get a series win here. You need to pick up at least a game on them while you got a shot, while you're there. We're 32-35, the Red Sox. The Yankees are 39-25. Huge lead on us, but you know what? There's a long way to go. All right, if you could, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And if you could, leave some comments, and we'll see you soon on Off the Rails Sports Podcast.